Okay, so I figured I would make a video finally on how to install DD-WRT on a standard home router. This is a Netgear WNDR 4000. I picked it up at a thrift store for a few bucks, and I figured it would be a good candidate because I've successfully installed DD-WRT on similar models of this type. So as you can see here, we have it plugged into our computer, and we went to the web address 192.168.1.1, and we're just playing around with the settings here. These are usually pretty good candidates to install DD-WRT. It's pretty simple. You basically just have to go to the DD-WRT router database, download the correct firmware file for your specific router, upload it, and it's pretty much set. Sometimes there's a couple other weird tricks you have to do, which this is going to be one of them. We'll have to play around with the IP address of our computer that we're connecting to the router. Just for administrative purposes, we just have to change it temporarily, and I'll show you how to do that in a second here. So we have our regular internet connection hooked back up, so we're going to search for DD-WRT, and we're going to type in our Netgear model, and we're going to scroll down and look for WNDR 4000. We're going to go ahead and click there, and the file you're going to want is this factory flash down below. I download both of them, but as I was doing more research, we only need the bottom file. Usually if DD-WRT needs an upgrade, they may put additional files in here, but since the versions are the same, if you can compare the numbers there, they're identical, we don't really need to do that. I just downloaded them just in case. And it's a good idea too to pull up this DD-WRT wiki, and it gives you the instructions here. So this one's a little bit weird. To actually get to the interface, we're actually going to have to change our IP address and subnet mask and gateway. And I'll show you how to do that on Linux, on Kubuntu Linux at least. It's a little bit different for Windows, but the idea is still the same. I won't cover that in this video, but you can easily Google how to change your IP address and subnet and everything in Windows. It's pretty simple. And before I go any farther on this video, I have to give you a very important warning. Since you are basically reflashing your firmware on your home router with a completely open source product, there's always a chance you completely brick or otherwise destroy your router. So just as a warning, do not do this with your current home router or a very expensive router unless you know exactly what you're doing, because the chances are very high that you can screw it up. I've ruined multiple routers doing this, and of course I've learned from my mistakes, but just know that since it's open source, there's always a chance that even if you do everything I do, you can still basically destroy your router and it's going to be a brick and you'll have to throw it in the garbage and buy a new one. So just keep that in mind, and we'll keep going on with the video. Okay, so now that we have downloaded the proper DD-WRT firmware file, we're going to go to the Advanced tab, Router Update, and we're going to navigate to where we saved that .chk file, and we're going to click Upload. And yes, we realize that all connections will be terminated. There's no turning back now. And it's going to give us another warning, so we're going to click Yes to confirm that we want to update it. It says it's going to take about 1.5 minutes. That's actually a pretty accurate estimate from what I can tell. So I will pause the video here and we will pick it back up once the update process has completed. Okay, so it took the DD-WRT firmware file, so that's a good sign. As you can see now, it's rebooting, so we will wait for that, and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, now that our router has rebooted, let me show you how to change the IP address settings in Kubuntu. So what you're going to do, you're going to go down here to the little Ethernet icon, right-click, Configure Network Connections. You're going to go to IPv4, and typically this is set on automatic, but you don't want that. So you're going to click on the drop-down, change it to manual, and down here you're going to click Add. And according to the DD-WRT wiki, Our IP address needs to be 192.168.1.8. And our subnet mask is going to be, it automatically fills this in for you when you click because it assumes, but it's going to be 255.255.255.0, and the gateway is going to be 192.168.1.1. So once that's in there, you can click apply, and it's saved in there. So now let's go back to our browser, and we can type in this 192.168.1.1 and see if it takes us to the new interface. Okay, so let's go ahead and type in that gateway, and that's a good sign. So this is exactly what you want to see for your first time. So here's the DD-WRT interface. So the first thing it wants you to do is change your admin user name and your admin user password. So we'll go ahead and do that here really quick. And type it in a second time to confirm. It's nice too because it tells you if you have a very strong password or a weak password. So we'll click that and it takes us to the interface. So that's it. I'll probably make a separate video on how to actually go through all the features of DD-WRT because it's massive. There's so many different tabs and all kinds of different features this thing has. It's incredible. It's a huge upgrade over the standard firmware that your router comes with. It basically takes the hardware, and sometimes it can actually even overclock the CPU on your router, so it's pretty incredible. But just as a second warning, remember, do not do this with your standard home router unless you know exactly what you're doing. And remember, since it's open source, there's always a chance that you can brick it. Like I said before, even if you do all these steps correctly and follow the DD-WRT wiki to the T, you can still brick your router and you're going to have to buy a brand new one because it's extremely difficult to recover it once it's been destroyed. So I'll just keep that in mind. So that should be about it for this video. Thanks for watching.